Welcome back to our study titled The Faith Walk, and we're going through and looking at the book of James together. And in our last study, you might remember, we were talking about those that desire to be a teacher in the church, and how not everyone should desire to be a teacher, to have that position. And we also talked about the power of our tongue and the importance of making sure that as a part of our faith, as a part of not wanting to hurt other people carelessly through the use of our tongue, we should be careful. And, well, as we looked at the fact that not everyone should be a teacher, James continues on, as we'll see in this 7th part of our study, finishing out the last 6 verses of chapter 3, we'll see that James continues on with that idea that of why everyone should not want to be a teacher, or why that everyone should be careful. And like I said, as we look at the last 6 verses of chapter 3, we begin with looking at verse 13. Verse 13 says this: "Who is a wise man and endued with knowledge among you? Let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom." James starts out right away asking us a question, so I think we should take the opportunity to answer that question. He says, do you know who's the smart guys around you? Who are those people who claim to be wise and smart guys? We all want to be smart people, don't we? You might know of somebody right off the top of your head who they're a smart guy. We look at those type of people in our society today as though they're the ones with all of the answers. But are they really? I mean, just being smart is one thing. Being someone with wisdom is something oftentimes completely different than just being a smart guy. I can remember many times in my life that I've run into guys who they had all of the schooling, they had all of the knowledge that you would think somebody with wisdom would have. But it turned out that they were just full of book smarts, but they didn't really have practical knowledge of a certain area, or they didn't have common sense many times, and they surely lacked in the area of wisdom. A lot of book smarts, but that was about it. They were smart guys, but they weren't very wise, that I would say. You might know people that are like this as well. And so James asks us, who are these people among you? Are they really wise, or are they just smart guys? Now, in the book of James, there are 4 times that the word wisdom is used. And as we look through the book of James, we find 3 of those 4 times that the word wisdom is used right here in the verses, these 6 verses that we're going to be looking at today. 3 of the 4 times wisdom is used, we're going to look at that today. So that's really the focus of where James is taking us on our journey, on our walk of faith through this book of James. And as we look at this first verse, the 13th verse, the first verse of our study for today, he continues on after asking, who are the smart guys around you? He says, let him show out of a good conversation his works with meekness of wisdom. Like I said, those smart guys, well, they think that they're pretty smart. They think that they're knowledgeable and they know everything. We might call them know-it-alls. Not many of those type of people are very meek or very humble in their demeanor, in their ways, in their conversation. They want everybody to know how smart that they really are. And that's exactly the opposite of wisdom, according to what James is saying here. He says, show me how smart you are by your actions. Show me how smart you are by your ways and the humility and the meekness associated with that. Going on into verse 14 and reading on, it says, "But if ye have bitter envying and strife in your hearts, glory not, and lie not against the truth. This wisdom descendeth not from above, but is earthly, sensual, devilish even. For where envying and strife is, there is confusion and every evil work." We'll stop right there at the end of verse 16 for now. But I wanted to point out this. He says, what does this get? Where does this get us? When you have all of these smarts, all of this book learning, all of this knowledge, but you don't really have wisdom, where does it get you? It doesn't get you anywhere. You end up competing with other smart people. You end up bragging and being proud about how smart you are. You try to put other people down with your knowledge and your supposed wisdom. But it's not really wisdom, because somebody that is truly wise, they don't get these things from books. They don't get these things from books. As we will read on in just a moment, we'll see where it really comes from. But James is saying, look, if you think you're smart, look, be careful, because this is just another tool that the enemy uses in making us into something that we don't really want to be. We put the focus on how intelligent we really are and how, well, we end up showing how foolish we really are, in that we're not really smart because we lack wisdom. It's me, and like we've talked about in previous studies, it shouldn't be all me. Let me see how smart you are by your actions. The actions that are coming from your heart, coming from your soul. And James says, don't glory about how smart that you are. Don't glory about that, because true wisdom doesn't come from you. He goes on to say in verse 17, "But the wisdom that is from above is first pure, then peaceable, gentle, and easy to be entreated, full of mercy and good fruits, without partiality and without hypocrisy." The first thing I think about when I read these words, "But the wisdom that is from above is first pure." Right after he follows up that real wisdom doesn't come from the earth. Real wisdom doesn't come from whatever schooling you've sought after, or what you've read in a book, or whatever you have learned. He's saying you can't get it here. Real wisdom comes from above. And the first thing that I think about is King Solomon. Right? This was a guy that at a young age, God came to him and says, look, I'll give you the desires of your heart. Whatever you want, tell me. Tell me what you want, and I'll give it to you. And at such a young age, he was smart enough to say, Lord, all that I really want is wisdom, your wisdom. Give me the ability to have your wisdom, to truly be a wise guy, truly be a wise man. And I think about that. And so we know that Solomon, he went on and he was given that wisdom, that gift from God, and he was the smartest guy in the land. He was the smartest guy of his time. And that was because it was a gift from above. Like James is saying here, it's not that Solomon went and locked himself away in his studies or in the library and did all of this learning, that he increased in knowledge and he increased in wisdom. No, it was a gift from above, from the Lord. That's where true wisdom comes from. That's where it comes from. And if we're talking about our faith in relation to wisdom, well, the best way to be complete in our faith is to have a good wisdom about us. It's a quality that we get from the Lord. It's a quality that comes from above, as we're told here. And James continues on in that same verse 17, saying that wisdom from above, what is it? It's first pure. It's pure. It's real. Then it's peaceable. It's gentle. and easy to be entreated. It's full of mercy. Its ability, one of the aspects of wisdom is that it'll show through the actions of good fruits that you're producing and people are able to see about you. It's those good fruits. It's without partiality. It's without hypocrisy. It's more than just, I'm a smart guy, I'm so wise, the Lord has gifted me with all this wisdom. Remember, true wisdom is humble, it's meek. And if we're going about talking about how wise we are, how smart we are, but then our actions don't display true wisdom, well, then I'm a hypocrite. It's hypocrisy, James says. And we can't do this. Where do these same type of fruits that we just mentioned come from? Gentleness, peace, mercy. These type of things we also know come from above. They come from the Lord. And these are aspects, qualities that can only come through wisdom, through the gifting from above. He continues on in verse 18. And the fruit of righteousness is sown in peace of them that make peace. In peace of them that make peace. Now, the opposite of peace is strife, is worry, is fights, is arguments. People that are truly wise, they don't do these things. They don't pursue these things. And if we have a true faith, a true belief in the Father, in the things that Christ has done for us, and we truly have a pursuit of everything that He is, and we believe, like the Word tells us, that wisdom comes from above, well, then we will pursue those things, and our evidence of our pursuit of those things will show forth through our good works, through the fruit that we bear. It's this pursuit of peace that is a mark of true wisdom. It's also a mark, as we're told here, it's a fruit of righteousness. And what do we know about righteousness? Well, the qualities of righteousness, well, what are they? If we looked into it, we'd see that they are qualities such as goodness and decency and morality and honorable, being an honorable person, those type of qualities, and the qualities of being pure and upright and just. And what else do we know about these qualities? Well, these are also the same qualities that are associated with wisdom. And as a matter, they are also qualities that are also associated with God. And if we are pursuing those qualities, we're going to be in step with God. We become more righteous in pursuit of these qualities, in our pursuit of righteousness. Well, how do we do this? By pursuing God, because God is righteous. He is righteous. And so if I'm pursuing the things that He wants, His qualities, the qualities that He exudes, well, then I in turn will become more like Him. I in turn will become more righteous. I will bear the fruit of righteousness. I will want to make peace. I won't want to run around and talk about how big, how wonderful that I am, that John is. I will want to talk about how big, how wonderful that God is. That's true wisdom, is recognizing, like we discovered in the very first verse that we covered in verse 13, that wisdom is shown through meekness. I have to become smaller so that He can become greater. If I'm truly wise, I understand this. And this is wisdom that only comes from above, James says. As we advance in our walk of faith, in our walk with Christ, these are qualities, like I said, that we will take on about ourselves. These are qualities and marks that the world will see. And they will desire, and they will want more of, and they will want to know how we got to be this way. And it gives us an avenue or an opportunity to be able to share more about Christ with the world. But that's only going to be the case if I am showing qualities of wisdom. Wisdom that, like I said, I can't fake. I can't read in a book. I can't make up. It's qualities of wisdom that only come from God that I begin to put into action myself, and fruit that begins to bear and grow. And people are able to see, wow, I like that. I want what John's got. John, tell me, how do I get that? How do I increase in wisdom? How do I increase in my own personal faith? It, like I said, it opens doors. It opens avenues to be able to love other people, to be able to show them. Look, if you want to be wise, if you really want to be a wise guy, seek Him. Seek the Father. Follow after Christ. Grow in your walk of faith. This is what we should all desire. This is something that we should all want. I don't want to stay where I'm at today. I want to be better tomorrow. And I want to be bigger and better the day after that. Not because it gains me anything in the temporal, in the today. Not because it gains me anything in this life, but because it allows me an opportunity to grow in my relationship with and my walk with the Lord. This is what I want, and this is something that we all should desire, and we should all be seeking to grow in our walk of faith. I hope you can take the time to sit down, be honest with yourself, and say, what am I seeking after? Is the pursuit of knowledge, the pursuit of wisdom, purely for me? Or is it in order to be able to help the Lord? Be His hands, be His feet, be His voice, as we talked about in our last study. Allow my efforts to be His efforts. Allow His motives to become my motives. Let me increase in wisdom as I learn to walk closer to You, Lord. As I learn to walk behind You, Lord. As I learn to walk in more faith with You, Lord.